Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Raw and Uncut with me, your host, Vera Alberta. Now, you know how we do it here on Raw and Uncut. We simply interview people, get to know their stories, and of course, we ask them the questions which you, the viewer, would like to know or rather would like to ask, but do not get the chance to ask. So today we're going to be looking at a news anchor in one of the leading TV stations in the country, and she's going to be talking to us about a number of things, including toxicity at the workplace. This is Raw and Uncut. Karibuni sana.
We have so much lined up for you. Let's get the headline.
Now, seeing your favorite news anchor on air looking all glammed up, all dolled up, and having that amazing English is simply something to, adore. But these people really go through a lot, like the preparations, both the script and, of course, going for the makeup sessions and having to deal with producers and editors. It's hectic. So before you see them on air, just know that a lot is going on. Now today we have our very amazing and beautiful guest with us. Please, thank you so much for gracing our show. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. I hope people at the Raw and Uncut understand Swahili. If not, you can just put what is it called? Is it subtitles?
Yeah, subtitles.
Yes,
but of course, wanaelewa. Hii ni maneno
we are going international.
So thank you so much for gracing us, Queens.
Thank you for having me.
If you could introduce yourself and perhaps what you do, and we can take it from there.
All right, my name is Odida. I am many things. I am many things. But what you watching me probably know is that I am a journalist. I am a news anchor. A news anchor is not even a career per se. Journalism is the career.
Yeah.
And as outside journalism, I also do stage acting. I have done set books for this country for a very long time, but I put it on hold because journalism has also consumed a lot of my time. I am also a writer. I have a blog. I am a friend, a sister. Yeah.
A friend, a sister.
I'm a teacher too. I forgot to say that. I'm a teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's lovely to hear. But one thing you didn't mention is whether you're a wife.
Well, naomba nijitoe kidogo tu.
Unaona ni kama kuna makosa kamefanyika.
Makosa itafanyika.
All right. So let's just get straight to the questions. Now, we would like to know if is journalism something you considered while you're growing up?
Well, for me, I think it's quite a funny story. And somebody would say, you see those those kids who don't listen to their parents.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Rebels.
Rebels, yes. My story somebody would say it's a rebel story because I remember once I was done with my KCSE and the results were out.
Yeah.
My mother wanted me to do either nursing or education because my mom is a teacher and I have two siblings who are teachers as well. So when the results were out, personally I wanted to do law, but then my mother wanted me to do those two, either teaching or nursing.
Yeah.
And that those were not options for me. I hate hospital. I fear hospital corridors. And now, and the funny part is I actually do health reporting. Yeah.
Well, you still went back to the line of health.
Yes, Also, this teaching was also not an option for me because there's also another funny part about this education stuff because now once I became a journalist, I still feel like I want to go to class and teach, especially these secondary school students and
Yes.
But I wanted to do law. So when law was not an option, because obviously I did not make the cut to do law, I was also very much willing to go do a diploma in law, but my mother at that time was like, no. And I also had my sister who was in uni at the time,
Yeah.
and my mom was the sole caregiver. So that was going to be so much burden on her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, if I am not doing law, then I'm going to do journalism. So my mother's like, no, that career doesn't have job opportunities. You're not going to get a job anywhere. It will be you don't have connections, so it will be so hard for you. So she went to an extent. She called a certain relative who had done journalism, but had never gotten a job, to talk to me and just convince me that this is not an option.
Oh.
So when she came, when that babe, the babe my mom talks to come and talk to me, well, she told me that the industry is quite hard to land a job, and it's quite the competition is too much in media. And you know what? Nilieka pamba kwa masikio.
Ulikataa kusikiza kabisa.
So what I said is, you see this one that my mother is doing all she can to make me not do, this is now what I'm going to do. So I went and applied for journalism at the Technical University of Kenya. That was my dream university.
Yeah.
So I selected journalism and interior design at TUK, at TUM, and Egerton University. And my first option being TUK, I was called at the Technical University of Kenya to study journalism and mass communication. So that is how I found myself in journalism. It wasn't really a dream at first.
Yes.
It was something that came out of me being a rebel. If you don't want me to do it, I'm going to do it. That is how I found myself in the journalism field.
That is such a, how would I put it? A good story of rebellion. Because currently you're gracing the screens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Kenyans, and people love to see you on TV, and they are amazed by your stories. And there's some people who just tune in to watch you.
Well, I have a team. I have a fan base, if I could say so myself. Yeah.
That's so great. Now, Odida is one of the senior journalists, like I mentioned, in a leading TV station. And in being a journalist, of course, there are stereotypes that mtu wa media kuna pesa, mtu wa media, it's all smooth for you, mtu wa media, those things. So we'd like to know, how do you deal with people outside, people in the public eye, who will come to you and they're like, you're a journalist, you're a celeb. How do you deal with such?
Well, I would say I am not an extrovert, or I'm very much introverted to begin with. So I would say that also when I was starting, being outside was, I don't want to say threatening, but nilikuwa naogopa sana kukaa nje and somebody recognizing me and saying, hi Odida, because I've met people like that in the middle of town, where I'm just, somebody calls me out of nowhere. You cannot ignore, because it's quite an honor for somebody for me, I see it's quite an honor for somebody to recognize me. That means they see my work, they know my work, and they're finding it just okay to come and say hi. So as much as I would say hi, all excited and to meet these people, it got to a specific point that I could not confidently rather walk at the CBD. Well, I'm not saying that I don't go to the CBD. I do go to the CBD, but the things that once I became a journalist, I had to drop, and that's just starting with using matatus. There's this lady who went to Royal Media Services and said, who uses matatus? Of course. That clip, and I'm not trying to really just back her up. For me, I'm not doing matatus because it's a convenient for me where I currently work. And also I do it for the convenience, and also just to not to feel uncomfortable in mbele ya watu, this social setting sometimes, I would say that it makes journalists anxious, not only for me, because people have so much expectations about us, and it's not always like you were saying that sometimes people think it's all it's all rosy, it's all we are good all the time. No, sometimes we have our days. And now when we go outside and people have all these expectations about us, and sometimes that is not how it is. So it's not always good days. Sometimes you also have those days. Yes.
My goodness. Now, speaking of those days, there are movies that have been created, depicting the media as a very toxic place. There's toxicity in a lot of workplaces, but in the media, there's actually movies that have been produced, just depicting the struggles that that a journalist go through in the media industry. Now, would you elaborate on something about toxicity in the media space? Yes.
I was talking to a former friend of mine. No, not a former friend. Well, she's still a friend. And she said, the media industry is soko ni chafu. I think that is what I'll use to just sum it up. Soko ni chafu. This is business. Media we are in business. So when you're in business, you also know that the competition is stiff.
Yes.
And as much as you would say that you're not competing with anyone, of course, personally, I'm not competing with anyone. I'm my own personal competition. But you see, that is not what the media house that you're working for would say, that they are their own competition. Of course, they're competing with all these other media houses. And every media house wants to be the most watched, the most talked about. And also that pressure that maybe these media houses are having on themselves can also just tembea kidogo kidogo to the staff and whatnot. And you can also not ignore the fact that sometimes I've never seen, okay, I've never worked I'm a teacher though, but even in teaching, I've not seen pressure as much as the pressure I've seen in the media industry. The media industry, this is an industry you would wake up and go to work today, and you might go back to your house in 2 days' time. Like kazi huaming, you might be in the middle of a date and you're called to go on assignment. So we have so much pressure in this industry.
And would you say you have your personal life? Do you think you have your personal life, like a life outside of media, a life outside of being a journalist?
Yeah. That's a very good question. But I do have very good friends, and most of these friends are people who I worked with before maybe I came to where I am currently. But I also say that people I went to school with, especially varsity, I'm still friends with them. Let me just shout out to Fiona, Frida, I know Farasi, Tony. Those are my very good friends. And also those people who, like I've said, that I've worked with before. So having a life outside being a journalist, it's also quite a challenge because you barely have time to yourself. You're constantly reading, constantly researching. Your mind is constantly racing. Like any time you get, you take that chance to rest, just to sleep, just to
recharge.
To recharge. To recharge is the word. So having my own personal life outside being a journalist, I would say it's something also quite hard.
Wow. Now that you, the viewer, is getting some enlightenment on the media industry. Now, Odida, would you advise someone to take this career path? Like be a journalist. When I grow up, I want to be a journalist. Would you advise someone to go ahead with that dream?
I once talked about this topic and it almost landed me in trouble. But I will just, from my own personal opinion, I would not recommend, because journalism is passion driven. If you're not
Yes.
passionate about it, you cannot survive.
Ah,
Because there's a lot of sacrifices that goes into it. Sometimes I'm scrolling through social media, maybe TikTok or anywhere,
yes.
and I see comments of people. I'm telling others, of course, that, oh, you have a very wonderful voice. You could do so well on TV. You have a very beautiful face. You could do so well on TV.
Yes.
And that is not all you need. There's so much that goes into behind that beautiful voice, behind that beautiful face. A lot has to go into place.
True.
So having a beautiful voice, having a beautiful face, sometimes will not even land you this job.
Yes.
So it goes past those expectations that society has put on people, or you can. This is your own drive. If you are not passionate about it, then you cannot do it. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from Odida. So, if you are one of the people, or rather one of my followers or subscribers who actually wants to be a journalist, please let it be passion.
Right.
Thank you, Odida, for gracing our screen today. Thank you for gracing our studio today.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you taking your time to, come and talk to us about one or two things
Yeah.
in the media industry. And your life story
Yeah.
to being a journalist is absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a Raw and Uncut. And, let's do this next week. Same place, same time. I'll be your host, Vera Albert.